What is up, TFA fam? Hope you're all doing well. Hope you got to enjoy, if that is the right word to use, the Wednesday afternoon delight. That was. I don't know. I get to see any of it, and it sounds like I really didn't miss too much. So apologize for the delay, though. We're out here trying to grind out this content for you guys, and then Kev had some technical difficulties, but we are here. Better late than never. We are here to get you started off right with Week 13 start or sit questions. Appreciate all of you guys who have been hanging out and waiting around for us in the chat. Kyle, Walito, what's up, fellas? Hope you are all doing well. I'm just going to go ahead and rattle off some news that stuck out to me and wait for some of these questions to start rolling in and Kev to get set up. But DJ Chark was limited in practice today, which is obviously a good sign for his availability for Week 13. Keep an eye on it to see what happens. Obviously, most of you guys know we go live on Sunday as well to go over more of this as we get more concrete news and have a much clearer idea of who's actually in and out. But I don't think Chark practiced at all last week, so get even a limited practice on Wednesday is still a good sign. Another DJ, David Johnson, was designated to return from IR. So as long as he clears concussion protocol, he should be returning as well. Zach Ertz was activated off of IR. But even in these desperate tight end times, I'm not sure how much this means, considering how he was playing before he hit IR with that injury, which is honestly that's sad to say out loud. And then Jonathan Taylor, Adam Thielen, Brandon Ayuk, Myles Garrett, all those guys were activated off the COVID list, so a little bit of good news there. And it sounds like George Kittle, now, whenever he went on IR, he was like, yeah, I'm going to be back. Like, there's no doubt in my mind I'm going to be back. And nobody else really shared that optimism, but it really seems like, coming from him, that he's really starting to feel better. He's really trying to make a push to come back. So if you're sitting pretty and you can stash him if he's available, I know he's still rostered in, I think, 60-something% of leagues. But if he is floating out there and you can pick him up and stash him if you have that IR spot, or if you just want to pick a spot, if you already know that you're heading into the playoffs to pick him up and stash him, I would do it at this point. Kind of changed my tune from a couple weeks ago, but I think if he's actually pushing to do this, Kyle Shanahan is now saying that he's a little bit more optimistic as well, so he could be a really nice stash, even if you only have him for the last 2 weeks. Still going to be a huge boost, more than likely, depending on what your tight end situation looks like. And the most important news of all, I can't believe I didn't see this until just a little while ago because this news came out Monday. Tavon Austin is back, baby. Tavon Austin signed with the Green Bay Packers. Go out and get him. Spend all your fab. He's going to crush. Don't do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it either.
How you feeling, man? What's going on, dude? I haven't asked you. How's your little one? How is she? How old is she now? And is there anything new that's happening with the little one?
She's good. She's good. She eats a lot, more than she should. And I think she is not even 3 months old yet, and she looks like she's a 6-month-old. 80th percentile of height and the 95th percentile of weight.
That's awesome. That's basically how my boy was, except he was more like a human chode. He had the width, but not the height.
Well.
But yeah, dude, he was always like, he was like 95th percentile for head size, 90th percentile for weight, and then he'd be like 35th percentile for height.
Yeah, I mean she eats a lot. I mean she's already grown out of 3 to 6 months, and she's on to 6 to 12, and she is not even 3 months old. She turns 3 like on the 15th.
That's awesome. Glad to hear everything is going well though. We got Walito in the chat making Kev bring out the Christmas hat. So we're gonna go ahead and start jumping into some of these questions. Owen is here, Ashton is here, Karn is here. Appreciate all you guys jumping in. If you're checking this out for the first time and have yet to subscribe for whatever reason, doesn't matter the reason, go ahead and rectify that mistake right now. Slam that subscribe button for us. We're going to go ahead and jump into some of these. Walito leading us off here needs he needs a bunch of these. So let's start with the running backs. He needs 2 out of this group of Sanders, Swift, Eckler, Gio, Murray, Duke. I know Sanders was a disappointment last week, but I'm locking him in going up against Green Bay that just made David Montgomery look like he actually had some juice. And Swift, I think, was limited today. So it looks like he should be returning this week as well.
So, okay. So let's start with wide receivers were definitely playing. Man, that is tough. Because I feel like it's probably, I think I would go. I don't know what I would go. Because I want to play I'm like, oh, okay, well, sweet. I'll just play Sanders and Swift and Eckler in the flex. But then I look at his wide receivers and I'm like, fuck. I'm not, I don't want to. I'm not damn sure not sitting DK Metcalf. I'm not sitting Calvin Ridley, and I'm not sitting Allen Robinson. You know what? I'm gonna go Miles Sanders and Austin Eckler.
What are you doing at the wide receiver position? You
Metcalf, those Ridley, and then flex Allen Robinson.
Lito, that is tough, buddy. Man. Yeah, I could see that with Swift's matchup against the Bears. Although the interim head coach Bevel, who was the OC, came out today, and not today, but I guess what he's been stressing since he took over is that they should be pushing pace more often, which makes you wonder why weren't you doing that before?
Well, I've said more to do with Patricia.
Yeah, but even still, last year, I think they were playing at a quicker pace. They were taking a bunch of deep shots that we didn't necessarily see coming, especially with Bevel and his time in Seattle. So I kind of looked at that a little sideways, but yeah, you can't sit DK. I know you love Mitch Trubisky this week. And also looks like Okudah is going to be out and Trufant just hit IR. So it looks like they're going to be without both of their starting corners.
Yeah, and you look at Eckler. Eckler's going to, look, he saw 16 targets last week. And this week they get the Patriots. And, that's a defense you certainly can throw the ball on. And so it's really hard for me to sit Austin Eckler and how good that offense is. DeAndre Swift, I think, has a tougher matchup against Chicago. So for me, it is close because I have Eckler at 9 and DeAndre Swift at 10. So it's not that far off. But I would just lean, especially in a PPR format, Austin Eckler. And then Miles Sanders, I think, has a really good matchup against Green Bay. And then, the wide receivers, like we already talked about, DK Metcalf, you start him no matter what. Calvin Ridley is kind of in that same boat. And then Alvin Robinson. Now with Mitchell Trubisky, we saw this last week. Mitchell Trubisky loves Allen Robinson, and he will force targets into that man. And so, 15 to 20 targets actually isn't like a crazy out of range possibility with Mitchell Trubisky. So it's just, there's no way I can send Allen Robinson, especially in a matchup against Detroit.
If Julio plays, does that change your opinion on Ridley at all?
No, I think it probably helps him a little bit, because he doesn't at that point, he's not going to be the main focus. I actually think it's better for him if Julio Jones plays, because you want some of that coverage and everything drawn off of him. Versus what's going to end up happening is if he doesn't play, then I think that teams just are just going to bracket coverage Calvin Ridley and say Laquan Treadwell beat us. Well, we're getting Laquan Treadwell because Zacchaeus.
Yeah, he had IR.
Yeah, so now they said Laquan Treadwell is going to play the Oz role. So I'm like, oh, yeah, great.
Give me Tavon Austin over Laquan Treadwell. I want to disagree with with this being our first question, but I don't think I can. So I'm just gonna have to agree with you. We're gonna roll on to Owen's question. Pick 3 for the flex: Mostert, Clyde, Cooks, Parker, Juju.
So I'm gonna lock in Cooks, and I'm gonna lock in Devontae Parker.
If Tua plays, you still locking him in?
No, that would change everything.
Because Tua was limited, and the quote was, "There is internal optimism that Tua can play."
Why? I don't get it. Like I have not seen anything. I know it's very small sample size, but he is not there's nothing I've seen from him. Like, okay, this guy looks great. Like Ryan Fitzpatrick has played great all year. Like, it makes no sense to me. It would change my thoughts on Devontae Parker, because Ryan Fitzpatrick is fantasy gold. And so if Tua were to play, I would lower him a little bit, not significantly, but I think it would be enough, especially, that maybe I would change my mind. So, again, it would still be Brandon Cooks.
Yeah.
And then the other two, I'm going to go Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So, yeah, I'm going to go CEH, Brandon Cooks, and Devontae Parker. If Tua starts, then I'm going to go Juju.
Think I'm going to roll Cooks, Parker, Mostert. And then if Tua plays, pivot off of Parker and go Clyde. So that's how I would do that. Oh, and Brandon Cooks for both of us for sure. Parker for both of us for sure. If Fitz plays, and then either Mostert or Clyde. If Fitz does not. It's like Karn picked up Kittle. Good looks there. Gooch. The Gooch is back. PPR starting A-Rob, Woods, Monty, and Hunt. Need help with my other flex options are Clyde, Debo, or Gallman.
I'm going Clyde.
You don't think Debo can do it back-to-back weeks?
It's not that. I just think this is a good matchup for him. This is a home matchup for the Chiefs. They are taking on a Broncos defense that has been pretty good against the ground, but we just saw Latavius Murray rack up 130 rushing yards against them. So I do think Clyde Edwards-Helaire gets it going again this week. Had a down week last week against the Bucs, but the Bucs have an elite run defense, and the Chiefs really weren't looking to run the ball that much. They were perfectly fine with airing it out. And so I just think Clyde, this is a good spot for Clyde. And I know a lot of people are going to be down on him this week because of his kind of roller coaster ride that he's put people on.
Yeah, I think I have to lean Clyde there as well. As much as I want to say Debo, I can't tempt fate twice with definitely didn't see Debo blowing up like that against the Rams. And now he gets the Bills, and Ayuk should be coming back. So I'm not entirely sure how that split is going to shake out. Roberto needs the dub this week. Fuller suspended, Godwin on bye. Needs 2 out of these 4. Eckler, Shepard, Juju, Kiki.
We'll definitely lock it in, Austin Eckler.
Yes. Can you play Shepard if it's Colt McCoy?
No.
And Danny did miss practice, which was to be expected. It seems like he did dodge a serious injury, but I do think he misses this week.
If he misses, I think Sterling Shepard is still probably at least a flex option because he does run a lot in the slot. And so I think he would still be at least viable, but not over the options you have here. I would go Juju.
Yep, same for me. Eckler and Juju. Eduardo joining us. Good to see you back in the chat, Eduardo. Would you all start Jonathan Taylor or Myles Gaskin in half PPR? Kev, I know you hate JT, but this has to be JT easily, right? Just say yes. Don't.
I don't know if I don't know if I would say it's easy. I mean the Dolphins are playing. I mean the Dolphins are playing Cincinnati. It's not like they have a terrible matchup here. And with Tua, they're definitely going to run the ball a little bit more. And so I think Myles Gaskin, who we've seen, is also kind of a bell cow for them. Like none of the running backs. I mean Ahmed has played well, but but he was hurt, and so I think Myles Gaskin. And to be honest, like I like Jonathan Taylor, like in this matchup against Houston. He has been cleared, and Houston's run defense has been historically bad, But as we know with Frank Reich, that he plays the hot hand, and it is perfectly in the range of fucking possibility that Nyheim Hines busts off a long run or something happens here, and they do not feed Jonathan Taylor like they should. Because this is a match made in heaven. This is a breakout game for Jonathan Taylor waiting to happen, but there's also Frank Reich. So,
don't do it.
I'm going to go Myles Gaskin.
You son of a bitch.
Hey, if you want to go Jonathan Taylor, state your case. Why Jonathan Taylor over Myles Gaskin?
I think with the way that Ahmed has played, it's not like Gaskin was lighting the world on fire. I think he was a pleasant surprise. And I think Ahmed did just as much as Gaskin did while Gaskin was out. I think they're going to be splitting time. Yes, there is the chance that it is the hot hand. Jordan Wilkins is apparently pretty banged up. That was another quote that I excuse me that I came across. Like you said, the matchups we kind of have to like it's a push, right? Like they're both in extremely good matchups. But I just think with the way that Jonathan Taylor was playing before he went on the COVID list, that one game, yes, it's a small sample size, but I think at most Hines takes over some of the receiving work, maybe eats into a couple of his carries, but this just sets up way too well for Jonathan Taylor. And it wouldn't surprise me if it was more of a 50-50 split with him and Nyheim Hines and possibly Jordan Wilkins if he plays. No, it wouldn't, but I can't in my heart of hearts, I cannot willingly play Myles Gaskin over Jonathan Taylor. I just can't do it. Can't do it. Won't do it.
I think if Gaskin hadn't been put on IR, it wouldn't hurt. I don't think you'd be having this conversation. But because he's coming off injury, you're allowing yourself to think this way. Jonathan Taylor hasn't had, he's even his best game this year. I wouldn't say it was a great game. It was a good game for him, and comparison from what he's normally done. So. Listen, like I said, I think if you had Jonathan Taylor, and depending on who you had, you definitely should look to play him because it is a great matchup and it's a great game for him. But there's a lot of things that go wrong, and I have Myles Gaskin at RB25 this week, and I have Jonathan Taylor at RB29.
I just can't do it. I can't do it. So we're going to have to agree to disagree on that one. Is David Johnson a start? I've been using Gallman as my RB2 since the concussion. Who who'd you rather play between the two, between Gallman and DJ? Because I don't feel great about DJ's spot on the opposite side of Jonathan Taylor in that matchup.
Well, I think you also have to wonder too as well. It really is going to also depend on if like DeForest Buckner's back, because that plays a big role in that run defense. So we saw last week without all those players that they were missing, Derrick Henry run all over this defense. However, David Johnson's not Derrick Henry. So I'll have to wait and see if they're actually, because I know they designated him for return, but they have not activated him yet.
Kyle, do you have any what are your other options? Looks like Henry is his RB1. Do you have any other running backs outside of DJ and Gallman, or are those your two top options?
Because as of right now, honestly, I think I would lean Gallman.
Yeah, it's hard not to, especially if Carlos Dunlap is going to miss time. I guess he had an MRI on his foot today, and that defense has looked markedly different for Seattle with Carlos Dunlap as the trade deadline acquirement. So
he has Melvin Gordon and Zach Moss too.
I think I would go Gordon out of that group. Especially if Phil, I know he's been pretty gross this year, but if Phillip Lindsay misses and it kind of seems like he's trending in that direction early on, I think I'm going Melvin Gordon.
I think I would agree. So if Phillip Lindsay misses, I would go Melvin Gordon, because he is going to get all of the work, or the majority of it. Royce Freeman will still be involved, but Melvin Gordon will see more work. And the Chiefs have been really, really bad against the run.
Yeah, I'm going Gordon there over that group. Would you flex, obviously not knowing his receiver situation, but would you plug DJ, or, I mean, we already said we're going to go Gallman. Would you throw Gallman into the flex? Because he did say he was willing to flex one of DJ and Gallman and play all three before we knew he had Melvin Gordon.
So this is the way that I would play it. If we find out, and maybe come back on Sunday whenever we have a more clear picture of how all this is going to shake out. But like, if DeForest Buckner is out, I would actually have some consideration for David Johnson over Wayne Gallman at that point, as long as he gets activated and everything else, and he gets cleared and they're bringing him back. I know they designated for return, but he's not been activated off IR yet. So if that happens and we find out like DeForest Buckner and all these guys are out, then I do think that you could definitely look at playing David Johnson.
Ashton wants to know Ayuk, Boyd, Beasley, Lazard for my wide receiver 2 spot.
I was really hoping that Kenny Gallaudet was going to play, but it's now looking like he's not. I don't understand what the hell is going on. Like last week, this is now the second time, like the last 2 weeks, that he's tried to come back, and literally the next day he's out again. Now today he didn't practice, and so I don't know what's going on. Like, I know I believe this is a contract year for him. He's actually a free agent after this year, so I don't know if this is a business decision by him, where he's coming back and is trying. They're obviously not going anywhere. They're not going to the playoffs. So would you risk a serious injury that could hurt your payday? And he's not a young wide receiver. He's 27 years old. He turns 28 next year. So I mean, he is not young. Which is crazy because he's still on his rookie deal. That I think some people don't realize that he's actually a much older player. He's the same age as Michael Thomas and Keenan Allen. Like he was a much older prospect coming out. And so this is his one shot at getting like a real payday in the NFL, because this is probably the last contract he's probably going to get. So I don't blame him. So I don't know if Kenny Gallaudet could end up missing the rest of the year. Like, who knows what's going on with this? Because we've had multiple weeks now where he's tried to come back, he misses, or he comes back, he practices, and it looks like, okay, we're getting optimism, and then the very next practice he's out, and then he doesn't practice again. So I don't know if he's testing it out, but regardless, with this, I would go.
I think I would go Beasley out of that group. Can't trust Boyd. Ayuk. I don't know if we've seen a game yet with Ayuk and Debo. It obviously doesn't set up to be a great matchup either. I would love to say Lazard for the brand, but I think he only played like 46% of the snaps last week. I think I would rank them Beasley, Lazard, Ayuk, Boyd.
Really? You have Lazard over Ayuk?
Yeah, just I don't. Not a great matchup. Like I'd much rather, tie my wagon to Aaron Rodgers. And like I said, I'm not sure if we've seen a game with both Ayuk and Debo. But either way, it's Nick fucking Mullins.
Yeah, I mean, I get that part of it. I mean, Buffalo has been. I mean, they're like a very average pass defense. They're 15th in pass DVOA.
They've been hit and miss.
They're 22nd in rush DVOA. Because for me, I would probably go Beasley. Boyd, Ayuk. So among the Cincinnati wide receivers in this game against the Dolphins, he is going, since he plays pretty much exclusively in the slot, he gets by far the best matchup of all of them. He is going to avoid Xavier Howard. He is going to avoid Byron Jones. He is going to see Nick Needham. And Nick Needham, if people don't know, for the boys and girls at home, is fucking awful. Yeah. So whoever plays the slot for whatever team they're playing, like that's the guy that we want to play, because he is not good at football. And so I do not mind Tyler Boyd. Now it's tough to trust whoever the fuck's going to start, whether it's Brandon Allen again or whoever.
It might be you this week.
Hey, maybe they should put the man back there. See if Baltimore can loan him Trace McSorley.
Let's go.
Anyway,
so it's Beasley.
Yes, we really just spent like 10 minutes on that, and agreed on both the guys who it was.
JoJo, the idiot circus boy, Mostert or Swift?
Swift.
Hollywood City, or Patrick or Cutie?
It's so tilting that Hollywood had his best game, one of his best games, or it may actually have been his best game of the year.
I think it was
without Lamar Jackson.
70-yard pass from Trace, baby.
And they get a great matchup against Dallas. I'm not gonna get caught into the trap. I'm gonna go Patrick.
If Lamar plays, I would go Hollywood.
It sounds like he's going to.
If he plays, that's where I'm going. Kev, this one directed specifically at you, because fuck me. Do you think Hurts will take over at quarterback in Philly this season from R.A. Roberto?
Hey, you're just the narrator, all right? I'm the one bringing all
the narrator. That's why I'm the narrator.
Jeez, you almost went through my nose. No, I don't. I don't think they're going to put Jalen Hurts back there. It doesn't make any sense from a number of levels. One, it's not a good idea to put a rookie quarterback behind that kind of offensive line and get fucking destroyed. I know people are going to say, well, Jalen Hurts is a mobile quarterback. Well, so is Carson Wentz, right? They're not incredibly that far off from each other in terms of their athleticism. So that's not necessarily the problem. And not to mention the fact that like all this stuff doesn't make sense because there's no way of getting out of his deal. Like they're not going to pay him $30+ million to sit on the bench. It's not going to happen. And they cannot trade for him. They cannot trade him without eating a massive amount of money because he is still owed. It's like $85 million in guaranteed. And if they trade him, that money does not go to the new team. That's not the way that it works. It stays with Philly. So Philly would have to eat all that dead cap to trade him or release him. So those are out. They don't even have a potential out on him until 2023, I think, is when their first potential out of it. And it's still not great because they're still going to be eating money from that. But it's either it might be 2022. But regardless of that, if they were to trade him in this offseason, that means they have $59 million in dead cap just in the first year.
Yikes.
Like, you can't get out of this. And so some of the problem is the fact that they're out here with their third string offensive line, and like literally he hikes the ball and half of the defensive line is in the backfield in his face. So there's a number of different issues, and I feel like I've talked about this a ton with the way that they're doing this, but it doesn't make any sense. Like run the ball, do something to be able to run some play action and kind of open things up for him, right? And get him out of the pocket, get him moving, do whatever you got to do. But it's just like they're so hell bent on trying to throw the ball and put him in terrible positions. It doesn't matter what happens. For whatever reason, they're out here. Alshon Jeffrey's running the same amount of routes or snaps as Travis Fulgham. Like, what are we doing here? You know, and so none of it makes any sense. So it's just as much on the situation as it is. I mean, and Carson Wentz hasn't played great. Don't get me wrong. This isn't just not on him because there is stuff that's on it because like right now it looks like he's in his head, right, and that he can't. Like he's lost his confidence, right? And so maybe somebody argue that okay, well maybe you set him on the bench and kind of let him collect himself or whatever, and maybe you kind of see what you have in Jalen Hurts, I guess. But which I guess you could do that, but I don't see how that helps him, right? So I don't know. I just think this is a whole terrible situation, and I know people will say, well, you know, because the weapons that he has around him either isn't great, right? It's awesome that they drafted Jalen Reagor. And listen, we both love Jalen Reagor, but to this point, Jalen Reagor hasn't done a fucking thing. Like he literally has not done nothing. And we've seen first round rookie bust. We've seen Corey Coleman. I love Corey Coleman whenever he came out. Am I saying Jalen Reagor's Corey Coleman? Absolutely not. No, that's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is just because they drafted somebody in the first round this year does not mean that this guy, because at this point, we've seen Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, all these dudes play great. We have not seen Jalen Reagor do anything. Now, some of that on him, but also, like, he's not getting any separation. Like, I'm sitting there watching him in this game against terrible secondary that Seattle has, not getting any separation whatsoever. I'm like, what is going on here? And then their other wide receiver is Travis Fulgham, who, if you would ask anybody week one, who the fuck Travis Fulgham, and everyone's going to be like, I don't fucking know who that is. And he right now looks like to be their best wide receiver who's not getting any action. So, I don't know. I don't think Jalen Hurts does. I guess it's possible. I know there was reports that the owner wants him to put him in the game or to start him, but I don't know. I think that is a bad idea for this franchise because I don't see how that helps anything.
Yeah. If he does, it kind of feels like a week 17 like spot start kind of thing. Or
if they're out of the playoffs.
Yeah. Like I don't think we see Wentz like straight up benched for him. Roberto, I hope you're happy. Aloha Gaming wants to know if there's any confidence in Gibson going up against Pitt and throwing in the caveat here with Bud Dupree early reports are he tore his ACL, so he's going to be done for the season. And I think we have a fifth or sixth round rookie, I think, behind Bud, who's going to be, taking over duties for him. Kev, I know you were high on Gibson this week. I still think you plug him in as an RB2. You had him ranked as an RB1. So why don't you go ahead and talk about Gibson here for a little bit, and then we'll move on to Walito's second question of the night.
Yeah, you definitely play him. So Pittsburgh's rush defense has been good, mainly due to the fact that they have not allowed touchdowns. They've only allowed 5 rushing touchdowns on the season. And so, actually 6, because I guess Gus Edwards scored today from the 1. So it's actually 6 now. But they've given up yardage. Like, we've seen this the same Baltimore team a few weeks ago when they rushed for 250 yards. Like, there's been multiple running backs that have had good games against the Steelers. There's just not a lot of them that are finding the end zone, and that's kind of when you look at like fantasy points against numbers and stuff like that, it skews the numbers a little bit because they've been so good inside the red zone. Antonio Gibson, this is a really good play because I think that there's a chance that this game could be a little bit more low scoring against Washington, because Washington defense has been really good this year in their own right, especially their pass defense. So I definitely think you play Antonio Gibson. Antonio Gibson is a baller. Like, he's a straight up baller. And while this isn't the best matchup, I don't think it's the worst matchup either. I still have him as RB7.
Yeah, like I said, you can definitely plug him in as an RB2. Kev has him ranked as an RB1, so you can fire him up this week for sure. Lido back again with more options for us. 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and 2 flex this time. Let's start off with the running backs: Cooks, Jacobs, Gio, Dobbins, Gordon. Cook.
Without a doubt, yeah. Without doubt. Dalvin Cook is a lock.
Dobbins.
And then I would probably go Josh Jacobs.
Let's go to the wide receivers. We need 2 flex, so I think we can roll Cook, Jacobs, and Dobbins. Wide receivers, he's looking at Cooks, Parker, Debo, Corey Davis. The underrated Corey Davis, might I add.
Yeah, he's been pretty good. It's gonna be Cooks. It's gonna be Parker. I would say this though: if Tua plays, if Tua starts, I'm going Debo over Parker. And then 2 flex would be Dobbins and Debo. So yeah, I guess you play Debo anyway.
Yeah, so it would be Cook, Jacobs, Gio, as long as Jacobs plays. Cook, Jacobs, Dobbins, Cooks, Parker. Now I'm going to go Corey Davis over Debo.
I hope you picked up Devontae Booker, Walito.
Walito, if you haven't picked up Devontae Booker, I think Kevin's going to kick you out of everything. Because Kev's been talking about Devontae Booker for 4 weeks now, 3 weeks now, I think. You've been about that life. Karn joining us. What's up, Karn? Good to see you in here. Trade deadline's over. Got the bye already locked up. That's what I'm talking about. What do we think about this team, Kev? Looking at Herbert, Chubb, CMC, who he just traded for, D-Hop, Woods, Tanya, Juju. Got Kittle on the bench like you talked about earlier. Dobbins, Pittman, Debo, Akers, John Brown.
Card's out here flexing on us with this team that he's got. I mean, this is sexy.
Yeah, I mean, you got the bye. Then you just kick your feet up, enjoy the fruits of your labor for 1 week, and then set that lineup and fucking smash. Herbert, what a great story Herbert's been. All from a punctured lung.
Yeah, no, he's been fantastic.
L. Bauer has the first DST question for us. Colts or Miami?
Oh, this is Miami.
Yeah. Lucius still has the trade deadline open in his league. Not going to hit till next week. Would you trade Kamara and Metcalf for Derrick Henry?
That's too much. You're trading too much for Derrick Henry.
You got to, Lucius, look over that roster and then let us know. You absolutely have to get something back on top of that. You can't give up Kamara and Metcalf and only get Henry.
And the reason that it works is that, well, not the works, but is the one problem with this too is kind of what we used to talk about with the buy sell stuff was you're selling low on Alvin Kamara. If Alvin Kamara was playing, this was 2 weeks ago, Alvin
and
Kamara,
buying high on Henry,
you would be, you would not make this trade at all because, and like I said, Drew Brees is back week 15. That's when he's expected to return. So, but I guess there's the case of, well, if you play, let's say you're playing week 14, you don't get a first round bye, and Alvin Kamara performs the way that Alvin Kamara's been playing, doesn't really help you to wait till week 15. I don't know, but just trading Alvin Kamara and DK Metcalf you're getting taken to the cleaners on that.
Yeah, you gotta. I'm not opposed to giving up Kamara, obviously, with the way everything's been shaking out, or Metcalf necessarily. You should be willing to trade anybody for the right price, but only getting Derrick Henry back is not the right price. He could definitely still be a league winner, but like Kev was saying, you were selling low on Kamara and buying high on Henry. So let us know if you have any other options on that team to go after there. Ashton wants to know Gallman or Hunt in the PPR flex. I think I'm going to roll Hunt there.
I was going to say the same thing. Yeah.
I get wanting to start Gallman because he's obviously the only show in town, but I think the game script and the matchup sets up better for Hunt than it does Gallman. Like it was
especially if Colt McCoy's playing. If Colt McCoy's starting, I don't know. Like it drastically drops down Wayne Gallman because how are they going to move the football? And Wayne Gallman's not really all that involved in the passing game, so you're probably going to see a lot more Dion Lewis. So the key for the Giants this year is for the reason that Gallman has played so well as because they've been in a lot of close games. Like they haven't been getting the doors blown off of them, right? And so they've been in a lot of really good game scripts for the running backs to be able to get carries. And that's why I just can't try but if Colt McCoy is the starter, I can't do it. Not against the Seahawks who could drop 30 on them.
And it also wouldn't surprise me if Hunt only had like a 3 or 4 fewer touches than Gallman does. So I don't even think their volume is going to be that drastically different either.
No, and especially in a PPR, right? Because Kareem Hunt we know is going to be involved in the passing game. Last week was kind of an anomaly. That it was funny because on the DFS show we were talking about these two guys, Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb, and I just had a feeling that he wasn't going to be as involved as people thought he was going to be, and I was right. But I did not see that. I did not think that Nick Chubb was going to out target and have more receptions than Kareem Hunt, which is that's not going to happen again.
Last week, Nick Chubb's receiving yardage total, if you wanted to bet a prop on it, was a paltry 3.5. Was literally his over under
3.5 yards.
3.5 yards was his receiving.
I would do that every single week. I don't even care. That's such an easy one reception. You're good to go.
Yeah, it was that was wild. Eduardo wants to know: would you drop Lindsey for Akers? Yes, absolutely. I mean, chances are you're not going to really start either of those guys, more than likely. But Akers, I think, has way more upside.
Cam Akers could be a league winner. Like Cam Akers legitimately could be a league winner. Their inning schedule is good, and like if he takes over this backfield, which he should, then Cam Akers could be a guy that wins people leagues.
Yeah. Akers over Lindsay there for sure. Travis is joining us in the YouTube chat. What's up, Trav? Julio, MT, Claypool, Cooks, Debo in a standard league. Start dose. Just rocking the first two.
Yeah, Julio and Michael Thomas.
If Julio does not go, you're just pivoting over to Cooks.
Yep.
Would you pick up Akers for Gio? This one coming from Ashton.
Has there been any news? I haven't looked so far this week, but has there been any news with Joe Mixon about any chance of him returning?
I haven't seen anything on there. Ashton, I think this one depends on where Gio sits in terms of your running back group. Like we were just touching on, I think Akers could have league-winning potential if McVay would just say fuck it and stop fooling around with Malcolm Brown and Henderson. If you've been rolling out Gio as your RB2 and you kind of quote unquote need him, I think I would leave it. If you picked up Gio off of waivers, or if you were holding on to him just in case anything happened with Mixon, and you just happen to have him and Gio's kind of sitting as your RB4 or so, and you're just swinging for upside because you're set at your RB1, RB2 spots, then that's a case that I would drop Gio for Akers.
So sorry, I was trying to figure if I could find anything. So the last thing I could find any news on him was last week, where Zach Taylor said rest is the biggest thing that can help Joe Mixon's foot. When I asked if he might need surgery, Taylor said the move to IR was to partially protect Mixon from himself because he wants to be back on the field. So there is a chance, it sounds like he could be back for week 14, but it's no guarantee because the Bengals are out of it and have no shot, and why rush him back out there if there's no reason to? Because that's the kind of the question for me. Because Gio, we know, is going to be the starter at this point.
Yeah.
But
so Gio was his RB4 as insurance for Mixon, so it sounds like he has Mixon and had Gio as well.
Then I would just stick with probably Gio. Is there anybody else you can drop to get Akers? That would be the other question I have.
Yes. Another question from Ashton. You were talking about this in regards to Wentz and the eating the dead cap. I think it's just depends on how the contract is structured, right? In terms of what's guaranteed and
it's for NFL contracts, all guaranteed money is on the team that signed them because they're the ones that guaranteed the money. So that's why that is the case. That's why NFL trades are so hard to do, because any star player who's been signed to a massive deal, and most of these guys get tons of guaranteed money in their contracts, it is always on the team who signs them. They're the ones that has to eat that guaranteed money. If you go and look, every year, there's teams. It's funny, some of the players that are still on teams that teams are actually still paying for. I know this because I was looking at the Chiefs heading into the year. The Chiefs are paying Eric Berry $9 million this year. $9 million. And he hasn't played on the team in over 2 years. They're still paying Eric Berry. This is what happens, and this is where bad contracts come from. But this is why it's so difficult to be able to make trades in the NFL. There was all these reports about Julio and Matt Ryan. It's ridiculous. They're not getting fucking traded at all because their contracts are so fucking overloaded with dead cap that Matt Ryan's is $79 million next year that they would have $79 million in dead cap if they trade him. He's not going anywhere. I don't give a shit what if some team offered him. He's not going. No team can have $79 million in dead cap on their roster, right? So these guys aren't going anywhere, and that's why Carson Wentz is not going anywhere. They're not going to eat $59 million in dead cap for 2021, and that's not to mention the other years, because like the next year I think is like $25 million. The year after that's like $20 million. Like this isn't an easy thing for teams to get out of, but this is what happens when this stuff happens. But people start throwing out trades and all this stuff, but it's just never going to happen because teams cannot absorb that kind of money. Once you get down to a smaller amount. And we have seen situations where, like, remember Brock Osweiler, where that were basically, was it the Texans traded him and basically
a second?
Yeah, gave him a second to just eat that
contract. Yeah.
So the Texans can eat that money.
Yeah, that was that was with Sashi. Stacking those picks. Could drop Lazard or Hill for Akers instead of Gio.
Oh, I mean, I would probably drop Taysom Hill.
I thought you were going to say Lazard, and I was going to unfortunately have to agree with you.
No, I mean, I dropped him. Why hold two quarterbacks? I mean, Kyler. I think Kyler's fine.
Yes. Patty, Swift or Carson?
That's Swift. I think. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure off the top of my head. Yes. I have DeAndre Swift at 10 and Chris Carson at 11.
We always get these ones with your rankings where there's like every week we get it where you have a couple that are just one spot apart.
And I will ask, like we always do, why not both?
Why not both?
What is preventing you from playing both?
Yeah, let us know that, Patty, and then we'll get back to that one. Anthony wants to know need an RB2 and somebody in the flex out of Mostert, Gallman, and Monty, full PPR.
Lock in Monty. He's the top 10 option this week.
Let's go.
And then I'm going to go Gallman if Daniel Jones plays. If he doesn't, I'm going Mostert.
Yeah, I'm going to go Mostert and Monty.
And I'm also going to ask Anthony, do you have who are your wide receivers for the flex? Do you have any wide receivers that we could possibly go with here?
So just put Monty at RB2 and then put a receiver in the flex.
Yeah, just curious.
Here we go. Two of our favorite tight end waivers from the week. If you actually still have a little bit of time to put your waivers in on ESPN. MFL said, "Fuck you, you're going to do it right after this game." It looks like most other sites are going to roll them on Thursday. These are two of the guys that we talked about. I know they're both sitting atop your tight end 2 rankings, Kev. Schultz or Akins. And I think you have these guys one spot apart as well, right? Or do you have Logan Thomas between them? Or no, wait, who was it?
I have Akins. I think I have Akins ahead of Schultz. This is what I'm going to say, though. Like, if these are your 2 tight end options that you can have, yes, I have them right next to each other, of course. I would pick up Dalton Schultz, or I would go Schultz for rest of season, and I would drop Jordan Akins. If you have both of them on your roster, I would drop Jordan Akins. Now, if you're just looking to pick one of them up, I would actually pick up Dalton Schultz because I like him for the rest of the season. Sneak peek behind the curtain, if you will, of TFA. But we actually have videos coming out where we actually went, me and Cody, last night went and recorded a bunch of videos for our rankings this week. So we can actually kind of talk a little bit more in depth about these guys instead of just answering start-sit questions. But actually, so we actually have a tight end rankings video that I believe will be out. Is it tomorrow? Or is it Friday? The tight ends rankings video.
Oh, yeah, that'll be out tomorrow for sure.
Yeah, so tomorrow you'll get the wide receivers and tight end ranking videos, and then I think on Friday you'll get the running back, I believe, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So with that, but as I mentioned with Dalton Schultz, like I like Dalton Schultz. Dalton Schultz is underrated. Like Dalton Schultz should be rostered more leagues, to be honest with you. His numbers are about, especially in the landscape of tight ends, with it being such a fucking dumpster fire that it's been this year at tight end position. Dalton Schultz, if you look at his numbers, he is doing everything that you really want to see, right? So basically, he is 5th in the league in routes run. He's 6th in targets. And
5th in catches as well.
Yeah, 5th in receptions, which is great, especially in PPR formats for a tight end. He is 13th in yards, and he is 13th in touchdowns. So the touchdowns has hurt him a little bit, but also with the influx of quarterbacks that we've seen from this team. But all the numbers are there. He's seeing red zone targets. So I like Dalton Schultz rest of season. And the Cowboys' schedule rest of season isn't all that bad either. So I like Dalton Schultz. I think Dalton Schultz is somebody that should be rostered, and like I said, far more leagues. And if he's out there, I want Dalton Schultz.
Would you? Why are you giving the bump to Schultz with Akins in the situation where he's in, where it's basically just it's Cooks and QT and then.
Because I think that Darren Fells will also start to become a little bit more involved as well. They do run 12 personnel, and I don't hate Jordan Akins either. Like we kind of talked about last night. I think Jordan Akins is also somebody that you can look at to roster now with Will Fuller done for the year. But I just think that in terms of this offense, and we know how bad. Well, I guess both these defenses are bad. I just trust Dalton Schultz a little bit more. I know what his involvement is in this offense is going to be. We still have to wait and see. And like I said, with this Houston team, they're out of it, right? So it may not even be Jordan Akins. Like Kahil Waring, it just came back for the Texans. Like last week was his first game back, and he is somebody that I know that they're really high on. Somebody that I thought was kind of like a sneaky sleeper this year heading into the season, and I think they drafted him in the 3rd round, I believe, last year. So I wouldn't be surprised if they give him some run as well to see what he can do. And there's none of those concerns whatsoever in Dallas.
So where there's no concern with Schultz, and I agree, but just the fact of their wide receiver group, like if you know what I mean, like you plug any tight end 2 for fantasy purposes into that offense, and I'm probably not going to give them any looks, but he's been really consistent despite being surrounded by arguably the most talented wide receiver group from 1 to 3. Jumping over to Ray, good to see you back in here. Haven't seen you for a while. Hope all has been well with you. Have a defense question here. Bengals, who he already has, or would you pick up and play the Seahawks defense if Danny Dimes is out, or would you go Raiders or Chiefs?
Man, all great options this week.
I think we're just going to stick with Miami.
I think I would too.
I get it with the Raiders going up against the Jets, but I might be wrong, but I don't think that they are really big on turnovers. And then the Chiefs or Broncos, if it was still Hinton, absolutely, but they actually will have someone who has started a game more recently than 2 years ago, a quarterback coming back for Denver. So I think I would just stick with Miami there, Ray. Jumping down to, skipped one from Jake. This first one coming from Jake, pick 3 in a full PPR. Julio, Thielen, Kupp, McLaurin. That's a nice problem to have.
I'm going to say Kupp.
Yeah. I think this decision might be made for you depending on what happens with Julio, but I'm going to agree there. His next question, pick 2 to start in a full PPR. Zeke, Gibson, Murray, James White, and DJ.
I'm going to go Zeke and Gibson.
Who's Dallas have this week?
Baltimore.
That's right. Yeah, because that game got moved to...
It's Tuesday now.
Tuesday.
I guess they didn't want to have two games going on at 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Monday.
Hey, man, 4 o'clock is the new 8 o'clock, I've heard. Yeah, I'm going to go Zeke and Gibson there as well. I don't want to chase the points with Murray or James White. That match for David Johnson does not set up well. Our ma'am Tam back in the building. RB3 this week. Already playing Gibson and Eckler. Good for you, Tam. Need one out of Chubb, Drake, Gaskin.
Tam, how are you not playing Chubb already?
Chubb, Gibson, and Eckler. That is a nice group there. I think Tam is just flexing on us.
I think she is. I think she's like, hey, I want to put this in here. So they have to read it, and they have to admire my drafting ability to be able to get all of these running backs, because that is a nice group.
Rodolfo jumping back in. Good to see you here. Start 2, Eckler, Jacobs, Sanders, Gaskin, Monty.
That is so much closer. Oh, my gosh.
Talk about a nice group.
So, okay. So I'm going to ask this again. So, one, for me right now, it would be Eckler and Monty is who I would go with, because I feel like just their ceilings is so much higher. But can we start 3?
Oh, God.
Do you have a flex? And if you do, who's in the flex? Because I want to start. Oh, wait a second. I didn't even mention Miles Sanders. So actually, no, it'd be Miles Sanders and Montgomery.
Yeah, I was surprised there that you didn't go Miles, and you would go Monty over Eckler.
This is not fair. These man. I do not envy you whatsoever, sir.
No, not at all. Gaskin is not in consideration, so at least we can strike one off. Not in this group,
right?
Eckler is so hard to sit. Even in a down year for the Pats.
Jeez, his wide receivers are Hill, Metcalf, and Adams. Yes, you do. You have to start those.
Rodolfo. My goodness.
All right. So this is the way that I would handle it then. I would probably go Eckler and Miles Sanders, because it is a PPR format, because we can lock in Austin Eckler's pass-catching upside. If you really wanted to get wild, you could sit Miles Sanders, because Miles Sanders has not been all that terribly effective this year, to be honest with you. So honestly, I really think that if you were shooting for straight upside, I think Eckler and Montgomery would be it. Because Josh Jacobs does get the Jets. The Jets pass, or the Jets run, or the... Okay. The Jets run defense.
Just give yourself a stroke with those lights in your hat?
No, I had to recollect myself, because I my brain was moving faster. But so the Jets right now, they're 32nd in pass DVOA. They are 8th in rush DVOA. They have been really good against the run this year, like really good against the run. So this isn't a slam dunk matchup for Josh Jacobs. It's just, I feel like that we know that the Raiders want to run the football, and would not be surprised if Josh Jacobs plays, which we have to see on that still. But if he does play, then I still think that he's probably going to see 20 touches in this game against the Jets. But I am still, if you are looking for upside, it is Eckler and David Montgomery, and that's the way that I would play it. Floor, it's probably Eckler and Miles Sanders.
My God. Yeah, I'm going to go See, that is. I'm going to go Eckler and Sanders. Man, like you said, I do not envy.
Because also you should one thing to throw out there too is Danny Shelton is one of the Lions' best run stoppers, and he is now on IR as well. So this defense is absolutely trashed.
Yeah. Oh my God. Dude, that is. I would bang my head against the wall having to set this lineup every single week.
Yeah, that's the only thing. He said it was an 8-man league, but that's why it's so. I know, but like that's what's so like the hardest part. Like people will trash 8-man leagues, right, and be like, "Oh my God, you play in an 8-man league?" But like this is the stuff you have to make decisions on. Like it's not that easy.
No.
It's not as easy as people think that it is. Oh, you just got this loaded team, but like having to make these decisions every week, you're probably leaving points on your bench every week.
Every single time. I really want to play Miles in this matchup. I really want to play Monty in that matchup. I'm sticking with Eckler and Miles there. I really don't think you can go wrong with any of those three running backs that we were talking about. Rodolfo, man, that's rough. No name. Should I use my number one waiver on Ebron or Kittle? Standard.
What does the rest of your team look like? And where are you sitting in terms of like playoffs? Are you locked in? Are you a team that's gonna have a first round bye? Like what kind of team are you? That's the easiest way to answer this because I would rather have more context behind what it is that your team looks like.
Yeah, I feel like there's probably a better use for your number.
I mean, I don't hate it. Like George Kittle could, if he returns in a week or two, it could be absolutely amazing. But it just depends on what the rest of your team looks like.
Yeah, let's get some other information. If you're still rocking with us, no name before we delve into that one. Tam needs these wide receivers ranked for playoffs. Gabe Davis, Colin Johnson, T. Higgins, Corey Davis. Corey Davis at 1.
I should just have these always pulled up right now and not ever have them.
But the Warren Sharp?
No.
What do you look at for
my own? Remember all the massive Google Doc that I have of all the matchups that are left?
I mean, I still think I would, just off the top, without knowing the strength of schedule for the playoffs, I still think I'm going to go Corey Davis, Gabriel Davis, T. Higgins, and then Colin Johnson. I can't imagine there's ever going to be any situation where I'm going to want to start Colin Johnson over Corey Davis, regardless of matchup. Chark should be back. Conley should be back. And I think that pushes Colin Johnson right back to the bench. Like, it took all of that for Colin Johnson to really see the field. Now, granted, he made some big plays. Obviously, had himself a nice day. But I still think I would go both Davises and then T and then Colin. What does your Google Doc say, sir?
So actually, I will say this, that both Cincinnati and Tennessee both have really good playoff matchups. So basically, you have Cincinnati who gets Dallas, Pittsburgh, which is not a good matchup, and then at Houston. And then for Tennessee, you get at Jacksonville, Detroit, at Green Bay, which is sexy. So I would probably rank this Corey Davis. I would probably go Corey Davis, T. Higgins, Gabriel Davis, and then Colin Johnson. Colin Johnson was pretty much a product of all their wide receivers being hurt last week.
Correct. Walito wants to know, does Ertz coming back hurt Goddard's value? I don't think so.
You didn't read the whole thing.
We don't have to.
I don't think that it's anything that's going to be anything dramatic. I think what you see is Zach Ertz probably gets some of the stuff that we've been seeing from Richard Rodgers. Zach Ertz, unless I don't know, I guess it doesn't even really matter to me. Like Zach Ertz, whenever he was last playing, like looked like a dad out there. Like he looked like me out there trying to run routes, which I do have some agility, but I could go out there and run a 9. I could run a 9 route, maybe go route, curl, slant, whatever. I could do it, but it wouldn't look good.
I like how you said I have some agility, and then you named the route where you have to run in a straight line.
Well, hey, I'll just go up there and moss people. But anyway, no, I don't think it really hurts Goddard's value all that much.
Oh, Lord. Come for the takes, stay for the moves. Anthony Acosta joining us again. What's up? AA. Pick 3, Sanders, Jefferson, Jacobs, Swift, Gaskins, Ridley.
Where's Ridley? I don't see Ridley.
It's the next comment down.
Oh. Miles Sanders, Ridley, and Swift. If Swift does not play,
Justin Jefferson.
Give me Josh Jacobs.
Ooh. I agree with all that except the Josh Jacobs. Forgotten Ninja. Pick 3 for a half PPR. We need 1 running back, 1 receiver, and 1 flex. So between Swift and Gibson, who you rocking with?
Or Dobbins.
Oh, yes. No, I see.
Give me
Dobbins.
Gibson.
Yep. You going Ridley or A-Rob?
A-Rob.
Mm-hmm. Who we throw in the flex for FN?
You might be a forgotten ninja somewhere, but you're not here. All right, you're just ninja. Fuck, man. This is another really tough one. I would probably go. It's so close, like between Swift and Ridley. I would probably lean towards Swift, but yeah. All right, I'm gonna go Swift.
Just from a volume standpoint?
Yes.
Okay. Our guy Brian back at it, back with us. Miles Sanders, James Robinson, Gallman, JT, pick 3.
Brian, I hope you didn't hear my comments about you this past week about your production on the field against the Raiders on Sunday. So
I'm sitting Gallman. I know you're going to say I'm sitting JT.
For the brand.
Yeah, so it's Sanders, Robinson, Taylor for me, and Sanders.
Let me put it this way,
Gallman.
but I'm still going to say this because I'm going to say it. And if Daniel Jones is out, it's definitely Jonathan Taylor you're playing.
If Daniel Jones is in, it's still Jonathan Taylor you're playing. Ray has another question for us. Ebron versus Washington, Tanyan versus the Eagles, or Jonnu versus the Browns in a standard league? Who do you think has the best chance of finding the end zone?
Jonnu. Cleveland has been the worst against tight ends. Like, stone cold fucking worst against tight ends. So I'm going to go Jonnu here. I would rank them Jonnu, Tanyan, and Ebron. But I have all of them ranked as a tight end 1. I actually have it Jonnu at 10, Tanyan at 11, and Ebron at 12.
Of course you do. That's hilarious. Man. Jonnu's been super disappointing. But that is such a great matchup. I'm going to go Tanyan. I would have a Tanyan, Jonnu, and then Ebron. Because the Eagles have not been great against tight ends either. Not as bad as the Browns have been, because the Browns are sitting at in a half PPR. The Browns are giving up. They're tied for second for giving up the second most half PPR points to tight ends. Falcons, Bears, and Browns are your top 3 teams, and then Philly is looks like in the top 10. But man, maybe it's recency bias from me, but I think I still lean slightly Tanyan over Jonnu. If this is the beginning, like even like 3 or 4 weeks into the season when Tanyan started to pop up a little bit, I would still lean Jonnu. But just with how he's been, I think he actually popped up on the injury report today with a different injury than that ankle. I think he popped up with a knee injury. So that's definitely something to monitor up until Sunday. And again, we will be going live at 11 a.m. to answer any other questions. We'll obviously have a lot more information at that point. Brian Hill wants to know, is there a difference between putting an RB in the RB spot or the flex? No different. You're still getting the same spot, obviously, in the flex. You're just losing out on the opportunity to start a wide receiver.
A lot of times, so in a 3 wide receiver, if you're in a league that starts 3 wide receivers, it is usually more optimal to actually play a wide receiver in the flex than it is a running back.
You're saying if you're required to start 3?
Yes.
Why do you say that?
Why do I say what?
Why is it more optimal to start a 4th wide receiver instead of a 3rd running back?
Because so if you think about it, most teams aren't probably running around with 3 or 4 elite running backs. And so once you get past your first 2, more often than not, now there's certain situations where that's different, where maybe you went running back for the first 4 picks of your draft and you hit on your guys like Antonio Gibson and James Robinson, and you're loaded at running back, and that's different. But more often than not, you're usually probably thinking between guys like Ronald Jones or Wayne Gallman and guys like that, where a wide receiver is just safer, because once you get past really a certain threshold for running backs, they do not score on the same level as wide receivers anymore. And so where wide receivers just often put up more points.
Okay. Makes sense. I can buy into that. Roberto Vidal, half PPR, have Henry and Eckler for the flex, Monty or Mostert. We're going to go, we're going, I have Miles Sanders, want to sit him. I can't sit Miles over Monty. I know he's been super disappointing. I know he only had 6 carries against the Seahawks, but against the Packers and that run D, that is the get right spot.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I absolutely love this matchup for David Montgomery too. So
So do I. But talking about the Browns being one of the worst against the tight end, the Packers are one of the worst against the against running backs. Look for the first round bye. Kittle at the bench. Yeah, I mean, if you're locked for the first round bye, I would just chill on Kyler. You're gonna have another week to figure out what's going on with him. So, I would just write it out there. Chris wants to know, half PPR. What are your recommendations? Pick 2: Drake, Hines, Monty, Cup. Lock it in Monty. Are you chasing Drake or Hines, or are you going to go with Cup for the second one? I think I'm going to go Hines and Monty.
Monty and Cup.
Got more playoff questions here from Tam. This time, Pittman, Ayuk, and T. Higgins being thrown in the mix for playoff outlook. Pull up that handy dandy Google Doc there, sir.
So Pittsburgh's wide receivers have fantastic matchups for the playoffs. I know. I just saw Juju on there. They get Buffalo at Cincinnati.
For this week. She's
right.
talking about for this week.
But for the playoffs, in terms of the other options that you have here,
Pittman, Ayuk, T.
Here is the Colts playoff schedule for Michael Pittman. The Raiders, Houston, and then at Pittsburgh, that's going to be a tough one, and the championship.
Ayuk.
Let me see what theirs is.
So the Niners have the Jets, the Skins, and the Rams. Not great, Bob.
No, I would probably go with this. I would go Pittman for sure. I would actually probably just do Pittman, Ayuk, and then T. Higgins.
If Burrow were playing, it would definitely be.
Oh, yeah, it's a completely different conversation.
Yeah, I think I would have T first, but given with what we're dealing with now, I think that is the way to go. Ashley wants to know: add Gabe Davis and drop Beasley, or don't point chase.
I think Beasley is safer in terms of a week to week. Though I will say Gabriel Davis has actually had some nice games this year, and looks like they may have found something with him. So, but I think for this week, I would probably still hold on rest of season to Cole Beasley, especially in a PPR format.
Robert Miley out here flexing on us as well, just dunking on these folks. 9-2 in the playoffs. Josh Allen, a QB. Should I stream for QBs because Allen has some bad matchups?
Yes, he does. They get Pittsburgh, at Denver, at New England. Like, it's not that great. It would depend on who's out there. Like, what is there some guys out there that you probably could look at? I don't know how your league looks. Some good things with Josh Allen is that he does run the football, and so that does help his floor, where he is somebody that could get you 40 or 50 rushing yards. He's certainly going to rush it once they get down to the goal line. Especially when they get down inside the 5. He is somebody that could find some rushing equity as well. But no, these matchups are not good for him. Especially to start off. Looks like you're at 9-2. You probably get a first round bye if your league has buys. So at least you don't have to. You can kind of. That's really probably the worst matchup that there is the Pittsburgh matchup. At Denver is still not great. Denver's defense has been pretty good this year, and then at New England has been hot and cold. But now they've gotten Stephon Gilmore back. They have 2 lockdown corners again. So that does change things a little bit. But no, it's not great matchups for him.
So I'm trying to think of some of the waiver quarterbacks that we were talking about on the show on Sunday night.
I got one for you.
Go ahead. I know what you're gonna say. I'm not even looking at the stream right now because I'm looking at a different screen. I know what you're gonna fucking say. I know it. Just say it. Tell him.
Mitchell Trubisky.
There's no chance in hell I'm playing Mitchell Trubisky, Mitchell Bortles over Josh Allen. I can't
listen. You asked what streaming quarterbacks are, and I'm just giving you your answer. This is the Bears' playoff schedule. Houston at Minnesota, Jacksonville. Tam, cover your ears for what I'm about to say because I don't, there's women in here, but I just went from 6 to midnight reading that. Okay, just saying.
Can't do it. Won't do it. Jared Goff, I think, was sitting around that 50% ownership. They have New England, Jets, and then Seattle. Might be a little easier to stomach. I wish we knew for sure. I just wish that the Dolphins would play fits the rest of the season because the Dolphins schedule sets up pretty nicely as well. What is this? All right, here we go. So here, according to Sharp Football Stats, here for the playoffs, we have the Rams sitting at 1. Then Baltimore, obviously you're not doing that. Green Bay not doing that. Tennessee, I mean, maybe I think Tannehill was more widely available in ESPN leagues than he was in Yahoo. Baker Mayfield and the Browns are actually sitting at 5. The Bears at 7. Andy Dalton, I can't start him. Then I mean that's basically going to be your best options. So really, you're looking at Trubisky and Goff. We're probably going to be your best bets, and have Tannehill for some reason.
Inject all the Mitchell Trubisky into my veins.
My God,
I'm buying a Mitchell Trubisky jersey.
Well, you might as well get some coal in your stocking because that's the fucking equivalent of a.
I cannot wait for him to just smash and start putting up big numbers, and then I'm just gonna sit. I'm just gonna show up every week just like this.
You are gonna have to wait. Let's roll through the last couple of these questions. And we'll get out of here as we finish up. Zero Destroyer joining us. 3 spots open, 2 wide receiver, and a flex. Options are Deontay, MT, Keenan, AJ Brown, or A-Rob.
So A-Rob's locked in. My goodness. So Keenan Allen, AJ Brown, and A-Rob.
You're gonna sit Hunt.
Yeah.
I think that's the the right call there. Anthony, appreciate you. We've seen you rocking with us all year, so not sure why it's taking you till week 13 to say you're going to we're going to see you around here more often. We've seen you. You should have been loving it from week 1, but we appreciate it nonetheless. If you're rocking with us for the first time, we've seen a couple of new names in here. We'd really appreciate if you guys hit that subscribe button, hit us with a thumbs up. It helps us out a lot, and we really appreciate you guys, and we thoroughly enjoy these shows every week. William Crawford jumping in, got Debo, Shepard, Gaskin, and J.K. Out of Gaskin and J.K., who do I start running back? And from the rest of the list, who do I flex? Definitely Dobbins.
Yeah, give me J.K. and Shepard. Or not Shepard, Debo, excuse me, sorry.
If Danny is playing, which it kind of seems like he's trending in the not playing direction, but if he would for some reason play, would that change your mind?
No, I'd probably go Debo.
Is Godwin the clear one in Tampa from Lido?
No. I don't think there is a clear number one in Tampa.
Yeah. Danette, 2 running backs and a flex, full PPR. Carson, Eckler, Clyde, Chubb, Hunt.
Really good group.
Yeah.
Good work. Chubb, Eckler, and Carson.
Ooh. I thought I was going to have to throw out Carson over Clyde. I agree there. Surprised me. Should I drop Colts D for Washington or the Niners? This one coming from Wanta Fanta. Don't you Wanta?
What was that? What was that?
You don't know the Fanta?
Yes, I know what it was. Okay. I know what it is. I don't want to play. I don't want to play Washington going against Pittsburgh. 49ers. Against Buffalo, I would not want to do either. I think I would ask you, is Seattle,
Miami,
Minnesota, Arizona available? Or even like possibly Green Bay? I think I would rather play all those defenses against them.
I really like Miami this week.
Well, yeah, but I think Miami is as good of a run as they've been on. I just figure that they're probably rostered in more leagues.
Sticking with Russ?
They have stopped. I mean, they really have started to run the ball more lately, and they have not been throwing the ball as much as they were earlier in the season. But yes, you're sticking with Russ. I mean, he's one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the league. And with their, what is their playoff schedule? If I remember correctly, I don't think their playoff schedule is. Yeah.
Jets.
It's not bad. So yeah, they get the Jets, which is a great matchup, and then they get at Washington, which is not a great matchup. And then they get the Rams, which is also not great. But you're not dropping Russell Wilson. So
yeah. Kev was just saying how awesome you are, Brian.
I was making a joke, Brian, because your name's Brian Hill, like the Falcons running back, Brian Hill.
See, I think we're on to something because I made the same joke on the Sunday show whenever he asked a question. And then Brian hit me up on Twitter, and he said it's just a coincidence, which actually makes me think that it's not a coincidence, and you are the real Brian Hill, Atlanta Falcons running back. So you not get anything past, we might look dumb, but we aren't. Explications? This IPA starting to kick in here a little bit, boys and girls. Start one: Kenny and Drake or Corey Davis at the flex.
I'm gonna go Kenny and Drake.
Fuck it, give me Corey Davis. Ooh, little NFL question here from Ashton. Picks to make the playoffs as the wild card teams in the AFC. Ashton, I would be lying to you if I had any idea off the top of my head of what the playoff race looks like.
Well, as of right now, obviously Pittsburgh is the one for the first round bye, which you have to remember there's only one team that gets a bye.
So that is so fucking stupid.
I totally agree, but that's what the NFL decided to do. So as of right now, the other league winners are obviously the Chiefs, the Titans, and the Bills are the teams that are currently leading their divisions.
My God. The fucking Browns. Jesus.
Yeah, so right now the wild card teams are the Browns, the Dolphins, and the Colts. Yeah, because the Raiders right now are on the outside looking in, and as well as the Ravens.
We were just talking about the Browns remaining. Well, for the fantasy playoffs, it sets up really nicely, which means they obviously have, just good matchups in general from 14 to 16. My God, are the Browns actually going?
Oh, they're one. Yeah, it would take a catastrophic meltdown for them not to make the playoffs at this point.
So who's your second team that you're rolling with here?
Well, remember, there's more than that. There's 3 because there's 7 wild cards. Remember, there's 7 teams making the playoffs this
year. Yeah. God, that's stupid as well.
So I honestly, right now, I would probably go Browns. I think it's going to be. I think the Ravens find a way to make it in, and I think it's Browns, Ravens, and Raiders is what I think.
The Raiders. I'm gonna say Colts over the Raiders. Bobby Shmurda jumping back in. Have Thielen and Jefferson. Should I trade one?
Sure, if you can.
Yeah.
I mean, if you still have the trade deadline, but what are you trying to go after? I think would be a good question. But yeah, I mean, having both of them isn't optimal.
Yeah, trying to figure out which one to start on a weekly basis if you have both of those is exercise in futility, I feel. Yeah, I mean, do you have a preference on who you're trading there? You trying to trade away? See, I feel like I would try and trade away Thielen, but his trade value is going to be lower.
Right.
So what are you going to get in return? I mean, even without the COVID, he's only had a couple of those big blow-up games, and everything else has been kind of Dudley from him. Man, what would you be hoping to get back from Thielen? Maybe like RB2, maybe.
Probably. That's probably what you're looking at. Or maybe possibly another wide receiver, but maybe I would probably try to, depending on what your bench looks like, possibly trying to trade for some depth, depending on how strong your total wide. I mean, I wouldn't trade for like straight bench pieces. Like obviously, I'm looking for something valuable in return, but trying to buy low on a couple situations. No, I don't think you can. I'm not trading DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
Especially, again, if you're frustrated with them, imagine what other people are going to think. And people are not going to, you're not going to get fair value for them.
Shelton Mayfield, I can only have 4 wide receivers. I have Diggs, Deontay, Kenny, Robbie, Debo on waivers. Should I drop Robbie Anderson? Standard 12-team league. I just have to say I hate the leagues where it tells you how many of each position you can have.
Yeah, especially 4. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's absurd.
I would drop Robbie Anderson for Debo then. Or, man, I don't know. You may consider dropping Kenny Gallaudet because as right now, I don't know when he's going to be back. So if you did, it would probably maybe Kenny Gallaudet for Debo Samuel. Because you could be holding on to Kenny Gallaudet for the rest of the year, and he may not even play.
I would just sit tight on that, Shelton. I would just hold on to where you are, because I could also see an instance where someone runs out, picks up Debo this week, and then Debo kind of falters with the return of Ayuk, and then you might just be able to snag him next week and have a clearer idea of what's going on with Kenny and Robbie. Would you start Cooks over D-Hop coming from the aggravated Bobby Shmurda. Lenny, they are only allowed to watch the dankest and sickest of fantasy football streams. So this is what Bobby Shmurda uses his hour of rec time on.
No, I'm not starting Brandon Cooks over D-Hop.
Would you trade him for Terry?
I would want more than just Terry McLaurin.
What would be a general range of what you'd be looking for on top of Terry to trade away D-Hop? Like RB2, would that be enough? Or are you looking for like another wide receiver 2?
No, I don't. I think that'd be asking too much. I mean, Terry McLaurin has been really good in his own right as well. Probably more of a. Well, let me look. Well, I mean, I think there's some different options you could go with. Maybe asking for Jonathan Taylor in that trade would be good. Depending on what he can do the rest of the season, but somebody that could possibly have some upside. Somebody like that. I think somebody like Chase Edmonds, possibly James Conner. With James Conner out, I think you could even maybe look for that because James Conner's also been frustrating as well for fantasy owners. J.K. Dobbins, like guys like that, I think is who I'd be shooting for to be involved in that. Even if you have to make it a little bit bigger of a trade to make it work, I think you could do that.
Anthony wants to know, which defense should I stash? Hawks, Bears, Packers, KC. Bears, Beats.
So, if you're saying stash, you're making it sound like you're wanting it for the rest of season. I hope you're not saying that you want 2 defenses because that's not the right answer. If we're talking about just this week, it's Kansas City. Don't think this too. We're talking about Denver here, okay?
Yeah, sorry, I blacked out there for a second. Kamara or Gallman, and the fact
this is where we're at, Christian. This is where we're at. This is the question, and it's a viable question, but it's still Alvin Kamara. I'm not going to be the guy that tells you to sit Alvin Kamara for Wayne Gallman, and Alvin Kamara goes off for 30 points. Yes,
it is a valid, understood question, but I'm in the same boat.
I will say this, which you'll hear a little bit more whenever the video drops with the running backs. I do have Alvin Kamara ranked as an RB2 this week.
It is true. I was there, and I can attest. I was a witness to this. Lenny wants to know, Pittman or Gio at flex?
I'm going to go Gio.
I'm going Pittman. Which Colt running back is the safest to start against a horrible Texans run defense? And Lenny has both.
Using the term safest is not the way to go, okay? Because there is no safe Colts running back, okay? But I would still probably say it's JT.
I think safety, it's Hines. Upside.
That's what I'm saying. Like I think the best option this week for the Colts running backs is probably Jonathan Taylor. I think he has the most upside. I think Nyheim Hines has the highest floor. Because it is still a possibility if they're missing these pieces that the Texans, who still have Deshaun Watson, are able to build a lead early, and if they do, they're going to have to run the football, or they're going to have to throw the ball, which is going to force them to use Nyheim Hines, who is their pass-catching running back.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm making the decision and I'm setting that lineup, I'm starting JT. But I think safest, I would probably lean Hines. I think he has a little bit higher of a floor, but I'm starting JT in that situation. So that's going to do it for us, guys. We really appreciate you jumping in. If you're still rocking with us, first of all, thank you. Second of all, if you could smash that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up, give us a like. We'd appreciate that as well. Would you do Thielen for Terry coming from Bobby? I want Terry in that situation.
Oh, absolutely.
So there you have it. We're going to sign off here. We will be going live on Sunday morning at 11 a.m. to answer more of your questions. The DFS guys, you guys going live tomorrow?
Yes, sir.
So the DFS guys, if you partake in DFS, you want to join them, you can go ahead and join them tomorrow. They'll be breaking down the main slate on DraftKings. So until this weekend or tomorrow, whenever you guys jump in, we appreciate all of you. Hit that subscribe, hit that like. Hope you guys have a great week, and we will talk to all of you soon. Bye now.